So, as you can see with this little bit of fan art, I have found out that the Tale Foundry has a TikTok somewhere on here, though I'm not sure if both the two that I'm following right now are the original, but they made a YouTube about trying to find book talk here on TikTok. And they had no success of finding it. So they don't believe it's on here, from what I understand of their YouTube. They say there are some book lovers on here, but it's very hard for them to navigate. So someone needs to go and tell them who to check out. And being as I've been on TikTok at least now for a couple of years, I joined in during the lockdown. So I can't say I'm big dog, but I know there is a book talk. And no, it's not all about spicy romance, though there is a part of that. Trying to look up book talk, I made the mistake myself trying to find book talk through looking up the book talk tag, but that doesn't really get you any results. And it just gets you the same thing every time. So my recommendation is, it's who you follow. And before you ask what, it's also about what you post. Sometimes your For You page will recommend you things on what you post up on your thing. It's not always about what you search up either. It's sometimes also what you post about. And being sometimes I post about books in between drawing and some little figures and toys that I collect on some regular occasions and stuff I make. But mostly I post for drawings, but I do talk about books and manga every now and then on my thing. And I kind of want to help the Tale Foundry help find out about the book side of TikTok, because there is one. It's just you don't find it by looking up book talk through the search engine, because that thing sucks. I tell you, you will only get the romance side of it, which is very spicy. And it's not always the same thing, but no, it's very hard to find certain things on TikTok, unless you know the particular book you're trying to find. Or, in my recommendation, there's a few authors actually here on TikTok, and you can follow them, because there's a few good ones. And there are some TikTokers here who actually talk about more than one book or more than like manga and stuff like that. And I will link them soon to me. Like, I will put a little link here while I'm talking and going on about it and blah, 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 blah. There is sort of a book talk on here, but it's not exactly linked to the book talk thing, because depending, if you don't tag anything and you ask, could someone please recommend more than one type of book to me that isn't romance or manga, that isn't mostly romance, and other things that isn't just shonen, is maybe more in the shoujo era or more like slice of life, or, because there's all sorts of genre. Manga is very much widely diverse like books are. And I should know I have a whole collection of manga upstairs and other books that I've been reading. And as someone whose attention hyperactivity disorder, getting into books was not easy for me, because I had a lot of trouble learning to read and write as a kid. And then there were some books that got me into, like Roald Dahl's books. They really got me into reading. And Morris Gizman. The two authors I really remember got me into reading. I'd have to say a little bit was the Harry Potter books, but being as the writer's a bit dodgy now, so I wouldn't recommend her. I don't know, because things you could have other people, so I wouldn't recommend her stuff just yet. But definitely Roald Dahl and Morris Gizman were two of my favorite authors as a kid, and definitely the person who used to write the Clifford the Big Red Dog books were definitely good. And I think some of the Curious George books are really good, but I know it was this other one, Meg the Witch, I think, and her cat. I forget what that was story or something. But anyway, Morris Gizman and Roald Dahl were definitely two that I can remember from my childhood as off the top of my head that really got me into reading books. If you ever do a review on that, Tales Foundry, great. But there are some authors that I have read their books recently, over the years, that I've know that they talk here about their books and other books here on TikTok. And there's one, I think, I'm not sure if he's an author or not, but I know he recommends, and there are some really good ones. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, and trying to find their usernames is really hard for me, but I will try to tag them in here in a bit soon. Or I will ask Book Talk itself, I will tag them in a minute, to try and help Tales Foundry find where Book Talk is, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for manga and other book talkers and stuff who don't talk about romance. No offense, but I know there's other people here who talk about books and stuff, and it's not romance, and they're not tagged as book talkers. Though they do say they are part of they're readers of books and they're big lovers of books, but they don't tag their stuff as book talk all too often. They usually just tag about the book that they're reading, or book recommendations is what I would check you would recommend. So, Tales Foundry, Foundry. If you want to find out other people who talk about actual books a bit more and do an in-depth video thing, I would recommend looking up book recommendations, manga recommendations, because there's a lot of manga I ended up getting into thanks to the manga side of TikTok and manga anime side. I can tell you, I found a lot of cat manga that I like because I love cats. And man, some of them are chef's kiss. Some of them are really weird. Some of them are a lot of fun. So, if you want to know about the and maybe some cat books too. Actually, I have a few I could recommend you. But I know for the first one I'm going to be recommending to you to check out. Oh, Tales Foundry is the Book of Doors. It's a really good book read. But I also will recommend some manga to you as well. Dr. Stone, I think you will really like. And Delicious in Dungeon is definitely another one. And The Way of the House Husband is definitely another one. And some of the cat manga I would recommend you. Nights with a Cat. Cat Gamer, I think it was the other one. The Wonderful Cat, I think. Man is His Cat, I will definitely recommend you. But it's going to be a very emotional ride for you if you haven't checked it out. But there's a lot of cat manga that I would recommend you. And stuff like that. I can talk about that all day, but I am here mostly to help Tale Foundries find the book side and the manga side of TikTok that doesn't recommend only just shonen and doesn't just recommend all romance, but they didn't really talk about the manga side because I know who is Tale Foundry. Actually, I should stop here and start again. Who is the Tale Foundry? They are someone on YouTube, and they also have a website somewhere that helps support writers and stuff like that, getting them more well known, but they also let people go write their own things and stuff like that, and they talk about all sorts of things that have been written. They do talk about some video series here, but they talk about the writing behind it. So, more or less, they like to talk about the books and stuff. And I think there's a genre on TikTok they haven't been able to get into because they did do a video on their experience of trying to come onto TikTok on their own and trying to find things. And they couldn't find the book talk that they wanted to find. They ended up finding the spicy romance side. Yeah, not a good thing to find as your first time when you're trying to get into book talk. Really not what I would recommend. So what I'm going to do is try to tag here, and if some people in my comments could tag Tale Foundry here or tag them to other videos which have people who actually talk about other books and stuff, please do that. I will do that myself. I will start tagging the Tale Foundry in a few of the other videos so they can start seeing it and start seeing who actually talks about other books. I'm doing a probably lousy job of it right now, but I can tell you from my experience, from some of the videos that they've done, they do some really in-depth talking about the writing and the writers and the authors behind the books and the manga, because they did talk about a horror manga a while back. They haven't talked about any other ones yet. I'd love to see them try to talk about One Piece. That would be a challenge in itself because that series is long. It is a good series, but I even know I haven't been able to finish that one. It's a bit like how Neverending Story was supposed to be so long, but now it looks like it's One Piece. It's taking up the Neverending Stories piece on that. But it's a very good read, and I can see why it's... Because I recommend, and the anime is good too. But when it comes to anime and manga, the only manga I've seen Tales Foundry talk about so far is the horror manga by the author who did this thing about his own cats. You know, that one who makes horror very creepily, like he wanted to talk about the walls and stuff. I forget his name off the top of my head, but I remember watching that video from them. They did a really good in-depth video about him, and they've done at least 2 or 3 books of this horror writer. They're really good, and they talk about other things, like they even talked about the Twilight Zone, and I didn't see many people talk about it. They talked about the old black and white one that I know my mom has, but she also has the 80s one. They haven't talked about that one yet, because there was a reboot of the Twilight Zone that was more of an done in the 80s, I think, or was it early 50s or 70s? I don't. All I know, it was in color, and it was a more modern take on the Twilight Zone version. It was interesting in its own way. Still very creepy. That bit about the person being stuck in the walls because they saw faces in weird little patterns and stuff. I'm never going to be able to forget that one. That thing creeps me the heck back. But anyway, Tales Foundry is really good. They're on YouTube. They're also now on TikTok, but I think of the two, I'm not sure which one is the original of them, or one is just like little animation clips that's linking them to their YouTube. But their YouTube, they have more in-depth stuff, and I think they have a website too. I would check out their website, their YouTube thing, the Tale Foundry. I will tag them in this, and I will tag some authors in this as well while I'm talking, who can maybe help the Tale Foundry hopefully find manga and book side of TikTok that talk more about more in-depth versions of books for them, please.